Now that we kind of gave you an idea who our best villains are cinematically, maybe even from a literary standpoint and also from an animated film perspective, let's talk about the worst villains. So who do you have in your best of the worst club?
And I also want to mention a good villain, Scar from The Lion King. I think Scar from The Lion King is a really good villain. Now, when it comes to worst,
Right.
a good portion of this list is going to be the Marvel movie universe.
Yeah, and DC would be there too, but they haven't made as many movies.
They don't have as many movies. Nowhere near as many movies, because man, was Parallax Lane from Green Lantern. Yeah, right?
Elizabeth, I'm coming.
Yeah.
That just killed me.
You got Ronan, who's terrible.
No.
I love his motivation of just wanting to save his people.
Mm-hmm.
But another good thing about a villain is their motivation should be, like I might have mentioned earlier, their motivation should be, everything about the character should be driven by that motivation.
Right.
Ronan didn't feel like everything was driven by that motivation. He would do things that seemed more selfish, like him taking the orb, him going after the Guardians.
Well, he got beat by a dance move.
Oh yeah, get distracted. There's nobody. Man, if I'm coming down about to destroy a planet, because all I gotta do is touch it. The moment I see him dancing, I'm like, that's cute. Bam, done. I'm in. Like nothing's gonna stop me. So he's an idiot.
Yeah.
Then you get what I mentioned before, Thor: The Dark World. I loved like I always say, I gotta give Malekith credit.
Right.
He is the biggest threat. Think about this, guys. Think about every Marvel universe movie. There is no bigger threat than what Malekith was. This wasn't a guy who wasn't trying to destroy the world. He wasn't trying to kill this one guy or here or there. This guy was trying to get rid of existence. All right, that's an Avengers level threat. And he was lame. He has no advantage over Hero. Even when he gets this ultimate end all power,
the
ether, Thor obliterates him.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah.
I was almost like watching. Oh my god, I think Thor's gonna kill that poor man. I'm like, okay, he's done. Just you've beaten him.
Yeah.
And another thing is like the hero. It makes the hero kind of because the hero doesn't even understand how he beat him. He was just told.
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah. It's a mess.
And we're about to get into it. Loki. No, not get into it, but Loki is on my list of also worst. I think he's on the best when it comes to Thor because I always give him credit is that his motivation was great. He has a great motivation of he wants to help. He genuinely wants to help. He's trying to get rid of these frost giants who are actually legitimately bad people.
Right.
He genuinely wants, and that's what makes it one of my two favorite Marvel sequences of all the films is Odin when he is hanging on to both Loki and Thor.
Right.
And Loki is like, I did this all for us, and Odin just tells him no, this is wrong, and Loki just lets go. And from Civil War. T'Challa talking to Zemo, just a conversation. But Thor: The Dark World and then Avengers make Loki an idiot. Let me get this right: the six, seven most powerful people in the world. Let's get them. It was Hulk, Thor, Cap, Black Widow, Hawkeye, and I think I'm forgetting somebody. But like 6, 7 most powerful people in the world. I'm going to get them all in one place and embarrass them. That's the stupidest plan. These people are by themselves taking on armies and wars. And you think you've literally seen one of them in battle taking on armies. How are you going to beat Thor?
Right.
His plan was idiotic. And then you get... and his plan was only to show all these characters together. So fair enough.
So my worst villains would definitely be, number one, it's definitely Malekith. I think when... you have this guy who's a little elf, who's supposed to be a dark elf, who's supposed to have all this superpower. He gets his butt kicked easily if it wasn't for Curse being around, which Curse was supposed to be his henchman and whatnot, but he was actually more threatening and fearful than actually Malekith was. So I say
when your minions are
when your minions are actually worse than you are. And then Frigga, Thor's mom was kicking Malekith's butt. I don't think I've ever seen a movie where and I know she's superpowered, she's a goddess and all this other stuff, but the thing is the villain is supposed to be this person that has this psychological edge and whatever. And so anytime you get beat by the hero's mom, what psychological edge can you prove that you actually even have? And then you have to be saved by Curse, or else Frigga would have already ended him. And if she'd have ended him, then the movie would have been over. So
and he's supposed to be so. And here's the thing: no one's harping on Thor's mom. She's a very cool character. The problem is This guy is supposed to be so powerful that he almost, with him and his army, brought down the Asgardians and like the realms. He almost ended existence with these guys. So one lady who's not a warrior, granted she can fight, but she's not one of the warriors. She's not out on the battlefield like Sif.
Right.
Was holding him off and almost won.
Yeah.
So the guy's he's a pushover, and I think that's what kills me. I agree with you on Malik. It kills me the potential of it. He could have been a great villain.
Yeah. Another great actor wasted. What's his name? Eccleston?
Christopher Eccleston.
Yeah.
The Marvel movies are terrible about getting great actors and just wasting them. Who played Whiplash?
Yeah. I forget his name.
Another great actor.
Totally wasted. And again, he would be another one of mine that I think is one of the worst villains I've seen. I would also add in Vincent D'Onofrio's character in Jurassic World. Oh my gosh, he was so boring, generic, mustache twirling. Hey, if we could just weaponize the raptors, then we could do this. And
you don't need him.
You just don't need him, and you didn't buy it. It's like, no, the raptors themselves are the deal. So I would actually have him in there as one of the worst villains. And then, of course, because I'm trying to balance it, because I know most of these are Marvel villains, because I thought Red Skull was unmemorable. Again, Hugo Weaving is an excellent. I mean, he's Agent Smith. But compare those two, Agent Smith and Red Skull. Which one are you really worried about? You know what I mean?
And he has the Tesseract. Yeah, exactly. Even with he was pretty dangerous, but a gunshot would probably put him down. That just makes Smiths angry. Yeah. Well, they get dodge the bullets. What am I saying? They were more dangerous.
Yeah. And so you take him, and then I would also say that again, Whiplash I thought was just poorly realized as well. And then another villain of mine, I would say, that just really didn't hit the mark for me, and this is kind of a little bit maybe controversial to a degree, but it's Kylo Ren. So he's kind of that guy that, to me, the way we just defined what a villain is, well, he's not set on a plan that he's obsessed to do no matter whatever happens. He doesn't have the psychological advantage over anyone, really. He's got the stigma of being kind of the spoiled brat in the sense, because even the stormtroopers knew, they just, he's acting like that again. They just turned around and walked off, and that was funny. And not that villains can't be funny, but when you look at him, where's the menace? Where are you worried about him? And I think part of it is the writing, because they did so much to make him mirror Vader. Like, his entrance is just like Vader's entrance in the first of the movie. They did all these things, and then when he's able to freeze bolts, I mean, he was going down a track, and though some might say, yeah, but that was boring, no, it was still setting up what could be a very great villain. And I think the more he kept taking off the helmet, and then once the protagonist beats him at his own game right away, I mean, I'll tell you, he didn't have any more weight for me. I was no longer worried about Kylo Ren.
And I'll tell you this, that's actually why I wore this shirt. I very ironically, because I agree, Kylo Ren's a weak villain. He's pretty much a minion. When Huck was a better villain, because I love the First Order. I liked them because they didn't do the typical villain things of like, I'm gonna capture a bunch of hostages. Like, they killed anyone they didn't need, and they only captured hostages when they had information they needed.
Yeah.
So my problem with Ren is another example of wasted potential, and he keeps losing he starts out a great villain.
Yes.
And loses everything that makes a great villain.
Yep.
Alright, so he loses his motivation, which we think he's doing it for himself to get power. That's gone because he's doing it because he's working for someone. Then he loses. He's a powerhouse. I mean, he's done two things we've never seen Force users do. Stop a bolt, put someone to sleep. Yep. No one in any maybe putting someone to sleep in the expanded universe, but no one's ever
cinematic.
In cinematic, and even in the expanded universe, no one's ever stopped lightning bolt. That's insanely powerful. So you got that, but then over the course, he loses. He doesn't have the advantage of the hero because Rey force beats him.
Yeah.
Then she overpowers him in a lightsaber battle. It wasn't even close, and you could argue, oh yeah, he was wounded. Well, like I said, he didn't even have his strength in his own convention, his own conflictions or convention. He wasn't conviction. Thank you. He didn't have the conviction as other villains did. Like, he was hesitant about going after Solo. He was hesitant about everything he does. And he was, like he said, the biggest thing. He was so whiny. He was he was crying about everything. It felt like. No, I think that's another example of just potential, just wasted. Man, they just.
Yeah.
You know what? I think this even would have been, even if you had that stuff, even the second movie would have been better. But as far as this movie goes, he will never be able to regain.
I agree.
That
He could never
level of
be.
fear.
He could never be a great villain as we've defined him here tonight. Now, I'm not. Obviously, there'll be people will push back and go, "I liked him. That's actually what made him interesting. I'm glad he wasn't just a one-note villain." Blah 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 blah. But I'm going to just talk from just a writer's perspective, though. So, really, in the next movie, what we're going to do is we're going to try to root for the villain to get butch enough to be able to beat the protagonist. That's a very lame position to work from. And if they do that, how predictable would that be? Well, yeah, she kicked his butt the first time, but not this next time because he's going to train with Snoke, and Snoke's going to get him there. If I'm Snoke, I'm going, you know what? Not you. You're not it. I want to train the girl. Bring me the girl. I'll train her. She's the one, obviously. Because remember,
she kicked your ass earlier.
Yeah, she's already kicked your butt. So why do I want
Yeah.
you? Why do I want to train you to try to get you to a level that she's already at? Without, so it's like, so from that perspective, I think that's why. Now, if you liked Ren, I know there's a lot of people that do, and you got into it, okay, that's fine. You can have that. I'm just saying, from a writing perspective, it's going to be extremely hard for him to take a seat at the table with the pantheon of great villains like Vader himself, Palpatine, Joker, Norman Bates, Saint Moriarty that you talked about, Sauron, Voldemort. I mean,
That's another thing. All these villains we just listed,
yeah.
when they were that character, you could argue maybe Vader, but every single one of the villains, they never at any point questioned what they were doing. Even the worst Marvel villains.
That's right.
Even the worst Marvel villains didn't question what they were doing. They had really up and down why they were doing it, but they had strength in their convictions, and that's something Ren just knocks him out of the top villains. He doesn't know why he's doing it.
Yeah.
He's just automatically out of the top villains.
He's just trying to follow orders, and he can't even do that well.
Bingo. That's what makes I think Huck a better villain.
Yeah.
He was doing what he thought. He wanted to take over. He wanted to freaking take over the galaxy.
Yeah.
He was talking about, you know what, kill these clones. They're not doing what you're doing. Terminate them. Get these guys out of here. I mean, he was great. I loved Hux.
Well, I think if Phasma got a chance, she would show you some commitment and some,
I think she showed, the spider what we discussed last time about
Right.
shutting off a shield. She even showed strength and conviction with the exception of the shield.
Yeah.
But she was like, I stand by. Even something as simple as standing by her own people is strength and conviction. When they say maybe the problem's your clone, she says no, problem's not with my clone. Like, I'll handle that. Like she stood by her clones. Like I love that about it. That's something small I like about that character for what little there was of the character.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's everyone's gonna bring up. Oh man, Kylo Ren's a great villain. It's like, no man, I'll even meet you halfway. He's an okay villain, but the problem is, man, to me, his motivation's too all over the map. Like, I don't know why he's doing anything.
Well, see, and that's why I would say he's not even an okay villain, because as we've defined villains, he can't sit there at the same table with Hannibal Lecter, with Norman Bates, with Anton Sugar.
Heck, even look at Darth Vader.
can't.
Darth Vader, you could argue he was a minion. No, he wasn't. He was planning to overthrow.
Yeah.
Because that's why he wanted Luke. He was like, we can rule the galaxy together. We can jump him easily.
Yeah. Because he tells him the
yeah.
emperor has foreseen it. You and I should rule the galaxy as father and son. This could happen. Even the emperor has foreseen it. So he knows that the emperor has a little bit of chink in his armor, that he's noted the feeling off of the emperor, that the emperor knows, man, if these two get together, father and son, that leaves me out because the rule of two, right? So Darth Vader knew. So he's not, people say he was just the one-note villain, but really in that first movie, I think he got a lot going. Because, think about it. Look at the control. So again, we talked about the conviction. Look at the control that Darth Vader has right off the bat. He tells everybody exactly what's happening, what is going to happen, and they go, Sir, pod has been jettisoned, but there were no life forms aboard. They must have hidden the plans inside the ship. Send a detachment team down. He knew he was on top of it right away. There was no guessing for him. He just did it, and then he told people what to do, and then they went and did it. And then when the guy got him out of hyperspace too quick, which is what got them seen too early in Empire Strikes Back, he took care of that dude. It's just like, that's what you want to see. A guy who's in control, has a diabolical plan, knows how he's going to take things out, and then he works that plan, and then you just want to see, how is the hero going to stop it?
And then one of my other favorite moments is when the guy in New Hope, and they're all sitting there deciding their next move, and one of the generals says, we're not going to listen to you and your silly religion, or whatever he tells him. He chokes him out. He's like, anyone else want to discuss my silly religion or something along those lines? Like, he doesn't take anything to nobody. Like, he can take anyone out of his way whenever he feels like it. And he's, like I said, I love Vader. I think he's a great villain. And I don't think there are very few people that would disagree with that. I think it'd be the silly minority that would say he's a poor villain. It's just, I think it's it's more than I would have expected for people who think Kylo Ren is a good villain.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a very good villain at all.
Yeah.
I think he started out good and just worked his butt off to get down to that lowest
He
tier.
did. Because, I mean, could you really be afraid of him? I mean, think about it. The Stormtroopers know that he's a mental midget. Hux doesn't take him seriously. Snoke knows he needs more training. I mean, there's nowhere in here where he's won at anything.
And I'll tell you, like I said, if you had just left it,
yeah.
if he had just not even been in the finale, and you just left him, he had only shown up to stop the bolt, to put her to sleep, and when he was angry and cut up the dashboard, that's scary. Like, that's a holy crap, this guy can come for me and get me at any time. Heck, even but you don't need to know the backstory. Like, that's a good example of not knowing his backstory at that time would have made him a stronger villain. He would have been scarier.
Absolutely.
He would have been. Now I just know his backstory. He's just a whiny kid trying to be like Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Even the hero tells him. Yeah. When she overpowers him.
Yes.
When she gets the advantage. Now there's no problem with a hero working hard to overpower. She didn't even try to work that hard. She just just
You're
did
right.
it.
You're right.
It wasn't,
You know, and I'm forgetting a villain that was actually great too. It just hit me just now. But Hans Gruber. I
can't believe we forgot
great.
That's a great villain. And
Die Hard.
and it's a character that sets the hero through the ringer. It makes the hero more accomplished because he's a guy who went in with nothing and no shoes,
right?
And basically has to come out on top against somebody with a ton of advantages.
Yes,
he has weapons. He has a plan. He is tricking people with they can look like another plan. He has every single advantage and a small army.
And John McClane's never seen him, doesn't know what he looks like. So he passed himself off as one of the captives in the...
Which was a great moment. He passed himself so... And
shoot the glass.
And like I said, and the villains aren't idiots. Like, shoot glass, he's not wearing shoes. John McClane has... And that's what makes John McClane such a great character. I think the reason he is such a great character, I think it's partially because of how great Hans Gruber was. Because...
That's exactly right.
It showed the hero had nothing. He was, again, at a disadvantage. He didn't have shoes.
That's right.
And he had no weapon. He had no shoes. But he builds up and gets to the point to be able to take on the villain. And no, I can't believe I forgot about Hans Gruber. No, Hans Gruber is one of the top villains easily.
Absolutely, he really is. And so here's the thing. Here's a big cherry on that, and then we'll probably talk a little bit about Batman v Superman and of course the Civil War, and because there's always going to be the comparisons of that. But just before that, here's the big cherry on top of the ice cream about a great villain. You see, when you have a great villain, it now makes the hero really, really good, especially if he can topple him. Right? That's the reason. That's another reason why you want to have a villain be top-notch, maniacal, unremorseful, able to just work a plan, influence people with his charm and his charisma to get them to do things that they probably wouldn't have done otherwise. All for an end that he can already see work out in 2 or 3 different ways, and he's just playing the shell game like Palpatine was great with that, right? And so that's your thing. That's the reason why you want a great villain, because Joker was so good. I don't know if you ever had read this, but Christian Bale said about Heath Ledger's performance, he said, if I'd have known that he was going to be that good at it, he goes, I would have boned up a little bit more on my Batman knowledge and, basically see if I could be better than what he was. He goes, but I can tell you, Christian Bale said this, I can tell you, Heath Ledger's Joker was much better than my Batman. And that was from Christian Bale.
I don't think anyone would deny that.
And that's exactly right. And see, and if he would have...
He's great in the movie.
Yeah, he's great.
His voice gets a little distracting at times, but no one in their right mind. That's like I said, Dark Knight is one of those movies that you almost sound stupid trying to say anything bad about it because it's too good. Like, you either sound like you're nitpicking, or you sound like an idiot who's just trying to find something wrong in anything.
Somebody just never can be happy. You're just malcontent. You'll always be looking for the things wrong with everything.
Exactly, and every single performance in that movie is great. There's not a single bad performance in that movie. And Heath Ledger is better than almost all of them.
Yeah.
Like, that's scary. It's like you could have almost all borderline Oscar performances from everyone, and this guy blows them out of the water.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost scary. It's like, where did this guy come from?
Absolutely, absolutely. When you think about Dark Knight, you can still watch Dark Knight now. It aged a lot better than Avengers did. Like, people were saying Avengers and Dark Knight were the 2 best superhero movies. Well, if you put them next to each other side by side now, Avengers has aged a little bit, given what we've seen since then.
Yeah.
But with The Dark Knight, nothing that DC's put out, or even really Marvel in terms of a villain. I mean, people put Loki up there, but even as good as Loki was in that first one, he didn't have the same kind of menace and charisma. I mean, think about it. Joker walked into a room of gangsters with no weapons other than just a knife. You know?
Well, and a jacket full of grenades.
Well, it looked like it. He had
that could have been
right.
Yeah, it could have just easily just been some balls he painted green.
Yeah, because he's not gonna blow himself up. He still has a whole plan to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if he pulls that grenade, he's gonna die too. So I think that was a ruse. But the idea that one guy could walk into a room with serial thieves, criminals, thugs, bosses of different factions of gangs,
and I guarantee you,
and he's not uncomfortable 1 minute with them sitting there, and he's not scared, and he makes them a proposition, and then he tells them they're the ones. He goes, "What happened? What happened? You guys let your balls drop?" He told these guys that to their face.
And they couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, and they were like so stunned by who is this guy? When one guy wanted to go up, Gamble wanted to go up and do something. Bam, here's his magic trick. You know, and they say he's crazy. I'm not.
Nope,
Crazy.
no.
No. And then he starts to back away slowly. Just think about it. You know, and I was just like, wow.
And I even love the villain because even the villain doesn't underestimate the hero. Because he tells him, remember they were going to give the money to the little, he was on the TV screen at the time. He says, he's going to go over there and break him in two. Or something like that. He's like, he ain't going to do nothing against Batman. Like, Batman scares all y'all. Like, he didn't underestimate. Like, that's what I love about even someone like Hans Gruber. When he realized what a threat McClane was, he didn't underestimate. He tried to trick him. Like, I just... good villains, and that's another. A good villain almost doesn't quite underestimate the villain. Like Darth Vader, again. He never once I would argue he may have in A New Hope only because he didn't see him. He didn't know that was him in the ship. Right. But ever since he found out it was his son, he never underestimated him. He just knew that I was stronger than him, but he never, he's like, there's always a chance he could probably beat me, but I want to move him to my side. He could potentially be stronger than me. No, like I said, that's there's a million great characteristics of a good villain, and I just feel, Joker, your Jokers, your Darth Vader, embody them, and that's why I say one of the best villains Marvel's had in forever has been Zemo.
That's right.
I think it's just hands down. It's unquestionable.
It's like this. So that brings us to kind of to date now in terms of villains. So in the last two big blockbuster films that have come out, and we know Apocalypse comes out here in 2 more weeks, but for now you have Lex Luthor, a version of Lex Luthor in Batman v Superman, and then you have Zemo, who's in Civil War. So hopefully you've seen these 2 movies already. You can't help but to do the comparisons because the comparisons are going to be there. They're just going to be there.
They're essentially, I call them the Heath Ledger Joker style villain, where it's a villain who has a plan that's like 12 steps ahead. However, in terms of Lex Luthor, I think Lex Luthor has done poorly, and Zemo is how it should be done correctly.
Right.
I think Luthor's motivation had the potential of being there, but his motivation didn't really play to that all the time. Like he didn't want. He was afraid of somebody like Superman, but he didn't really show that all the time. I felt. Luthor's plan seemed kind of silly at points. Like it dictated that Superman wouldn't just go. Let me go, just find my mom instead of dealing with Batman. Like I don't know. It was too big of a gamble. And Zemo's, at the very least, his gambles could be attributed and fixed along the way. I've said in the past, the only thing I won't give Zemo is it makes no sense that in a containment unit, no one said, "Hey, that's not the psychiatrist we hired," and that there weren't trained guns on him. And I'll be the first to admit that's a nitpick because I think the rest of his plan all works. If you watch the movie and really pay attention to it. His plan makes perfect sense across the board. As compared to somebody like Luthor, his plan falls apart like 5 or 6 times. And it relies on just plot convenience. So,
and then there's the distraction of everything else in that movie that's going on that kind of takes away from it. And see, again, when you don't have a good villain, what bad villains do is they just move plot points to plot points, which isn't good if you're trying to tell a story of why this person is motivated and obsessed with trying to make the good guys pay, right? So if you're just moving from plot point to plot point, then you run into problems, and then it's easy to shoot down some of the logic and the holes and what they were doing in it. And for this case, it's when you have somebody who's is as iconic as Lex Luthor is, I don't think you play with the super sauce on that. I don't think you say, well, let's give him hair and make him younger, and it's baby Lex essentially, and show that. It's like, but why? What you've got in Batman v Superman is a situation where the city has been thrown into ruins, and he's a billionaire, and he's always been a real estate tycoon type person. This is a great opportunity for him to try to get, which was done in, I think, was it Batman v Superman Public Enemies?
Public Enemies, where what was done?
So this is where Lex Luthor is trying to push himself off as the good guy. He's trying to run for president, and it's because he's saying he's trying to show that he's spent all this money to help make Metropolis
Public Enemies
work. Yeah, Public Enemies. And so in this situation, this would have been perfect for that, because the city's in ruins. Some people are afraid of Superman. And you need to see somebody who steps up, who's strong like a bull, almost like a Trump type in a way, who people will get behind because he's so manic about it that you have to almost believe it. And he was like, here's how I can get people to forget about my criminal past by showing that, look, I'm putting the money into rebuilding Metropolis. And you can see people, it's like Capone giving away free dinners to make people forget in a way that he's not a gangster without a heart.
And that's the sad thing about Luthor, is that the comic version of him is so great. This is a guy who's genuinely afraid of Superman. He believes that we as people can be better.
Right.
That we don't need someone like Superman that we can cure. This is when Superman brings up a great point. You could have cured cancer by now if you hadn't been trying to kill me all the time.
Yeah.
But he believes so strongly that the world doesn't need a Superman, that he's afraid of him. And that's what makes this comic character so compelling. And there you go, you have your motivation right there. To the point where currently in the comics, Lex Luthor actually joined the Justice League because he's like, yeah, Superman, I hate you, but there's a bigger threat in space coming. We need to work together. Because while I may hate you, I like living more. I like living and want to accomplish more things in life. There's his character in a nutshell. And that also, his motivation is consistent in the comics. Like, his motivation is consistently afraid of the unknown. He believes humans are better. But in the movie, I don't really know. Like, his plan's all over the map, and like I said, then why go after Batman? His plan, it falls apart. Like, it's not the worst plan, but it relies too heavily on because the plot said so.
That's exactly right. And as long as there's stakes that when the good guy finally overcomes them and gets to the top of the mountain, it's really saying something that he did it. So when there's stakes, when there's the drama, when there's the tension, then that villain has really done a good job. So how about this? You guys go ahead, let us know below. Tell us what you think, who your best villains were. Did we leave some stuff off? Are we crazy for not thinking of some certain people? Or if you thought some of it was a little interesting that we put this in here, then tell us which one that is, and we'll definitely keep that conversation going. But until then, just as a little preview, I think, Mike, we might need to do something about nitpicks and plot holes, because it seems to me people don't know the difference between a nitpick and a plot hole.
Because trust me, I nitpick movies to death, but I'll be the first to admit when a movie has a nitpick, and I won't hold it against the movie. And when a movie has a plot hole, where it's like, I can't enjoy the movie because this is too big of a plot hole.
That's right.
So that's definitely something we're going to discuss.
That's right. So you guys sit tight on that. We're going to put our pencils together, work on it, and then we'll put that together, and then we'll present it to you like we always do. So until then, this is Vegabomber, and that's Horror Mike.
Hey!
And we're out.